Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you all very much for joining in for our Krishna book study today. Let's start with the prayers. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamelam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatamanitam Tam Sujeevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradushe Namaha Panchatattvaatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate गोपीश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे गुरवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरून् दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यमीश्वरं हरि ओम तत्सत् Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dhanvat Pranams. Thank you all for joining in for the Krishna book study today. Today is 21st of August, 5 days to go for the most auspicious Shri Krishna Janmashtami, and the next day is even more important than Shri Krishna Janmashtami, which is Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja. So we are studying from the Krishna book to prepare our consciousness. What is the wonderful pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna as we are meditating on Lord Shri Krishna, and what better way to meditate on Krishna than reading the words of Srila Prabhupada, whose Vyasa Puja, whose appearance day is just the next day, 27th of August. So preparing our consciousness for these two very, very important festivals in a devotee's life. Let us start with chapter number 13. So this chapter 13 is very, very wonderful. It's the Brahma Vimohan Leela. How even Brahma, the greatest of the devotees, who is administered with the power of sub-creation, he himself gets bewildered. Right? So whenever pride goeth before fall, they say in English also. Whenever we feel this false pride, we should know that we've already fallen down. And then actual falling down is simply a detail, right? So in this way, Dranadapi Shunichena Taroriva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. Right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that we should string this verse like our Kantimala, like we should string this verse around our throat, right? That we are always we know that we have to be humbler than a blade of grass. You have to be more tolerant than a tree. You have to offer all respects to others. Only then, not expecting any respect in return. Only then we'll be able to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra constantly. If there is a false ego, there is a pride in us that, oh, I am doing everything. I am the controller. I am the enjoyer. I am the proprietor. Then we've already fallen down in devotional service. And this is a very auspicious pastime where Balaram is not part of this because it's Balaram's birthday and Balaram is staying at home to give charity to the Brahmanas. And that is why Krishna takes all the calves and calves for grazing. And what happens when they're having their lunch pastime, he sees that Madhu Mangal is having buttermilk in his mouth. He's just drank the entire buttermilk in his mouth like this. And then what did Krishna do? Krishna just pumped his cheeks and drank all the buttermilk coming out from the mouth of Madhu Mangal. And Brahma is watching this. What is this? This cannot be the Supreme Lord. What is this? He's drinking the juta of a mere cowherd boy. This cannot be Krishna. I mean, in the sense, this cannot be the supreme personality of Godhead. So in this way, he doubted that this boy can be the supreme Lord, who's very powerful, who's already lifted. Who's already killed so many demons like Agasura. Just now we saw, yeah, yesterday how he killed the Agasura. Right? So many demons have been killed, Putana and all of these whirlwind demon, all of them have been killed. But yet Brahma is thinking this cannot be the Lord because he is taking the juta of a mere gopa. He's playing with the gopas like an ordinary boy, right? So in this way, when pride goes or a false pride comes, then we've already fallen down. And then what happens later is just a detail. You know how he falls down to the lotus feet of the Lord and begs forgiveness because the thought has already occurred. That means already the falling down has happened. Right now, what happens later on? That he steals calves and the cowherd boys, and he goes and keeps them in the Brahmaloka. And then Krishna, what does he do? He fulfills several purposes. Krishna expands into as many gopas, as many calves, so much so that when he goes back home that evening, all the mothers of the gopas as well as the cows, they are feeling so much more love and affection for their own offspring that they do not have so much until thus far. Of course, mothers love their children, right, the most, but they were feeling more love overflowing, right, when Krishna expanded into those gopas and the calves. And in this way, Brahma gets bewildered. He goes and sees in the cave there is one set of all the gopas and calves, and then he comes down and looks for and sees what is happening. And here also everything is happening as normal. And then 1 year passes like this in the earthly time. And Brahma just goes and checks and comes back and he realizes his mistake. He falls down the lotus feet of Krishna with all his 4 helmets. Brahma is Chaturmukhe, right? He falls down at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and begs forgiveness. Oh Krishna, please forgive me. And then he says, when you come later on in your next avatar, give me a low birth so that I don't become too puffed up about myself. So in this way, Brahmaji becomes Haridas Thakur. And then, although born in a Mohammedan family, he is a great devotee and he continuously chants 300 times, 300,000 times names of the Lord. So that is what we're going to see today in a gist, the Brahma Vimohan Leela. I'm sure we've heard this pastimes many, many times. But the more the number of times we hear, the more and more excited, the more and more eager we are to hear those pastimes. Because this is not about knowledge. This is not about, okay, I know that answer. I don't have to read it again. No. These are pastimes which are released more and more. The more number of times we hear with a submissive mind, with a submissive attitude, with an eagerness to understand Krishna more, then Krishna reveals more and more of himself as we try to study these pastimes and do it as a service to Lord Sri Krishna. All right, let's move ahead. This chapter is entitled The Stealing of the Boys and Calves by Brahmaji. Okay, devotees can raise your hands. Okay, Sridhar Prabhu, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam.
Chapter 13, The Stealing of Boys and Calves by Brahma. Sukdev Goswami was very much encouraged when Maharaj Parishit asked him why the cowherd boys did not discuss the death of Agasura until 1 year has passed. He explained this, my dear king, you are making the subject matter to the transcendental pastime of Krishna fresher by your inquisitiveness. It is said that in the nature of the devotee, they constantly apply his mind, energy, words, ears, etc. In hearing the chanting about Krishna, this is called Krishna consciousness. And for one who wrapped in hearing and chanting about Krishna, the subject matter never becomes hackneyed or old. This is significance of transcendental subject matter in contrast to material subject matter. Material subject matter becomes stale and one cannot hear a certain subject for a long time. He wants change. But as far as a transcendental subject matter is concerned, it is called Nitya Navayumana. This means that one can go on chanting and hearing about the Lord and never feel tired, but remain fresh and eager to hear more and more. It is the duty of a spiritual master to disclose all confidential subject matter to the inquisitive and sincere disciple. Thus, Sukdev Goswami began to explain why the killing of Aghasura was not discussed until 1 year has passed. Sukhdev Goswami told the king, now hear the secret of attention. After saving his friend from the mouth of Aghasura and killing the demon, Lord Krishna brought his friend to the bank of Yamuna and addressed them as follows. My dear friends, just see how spot is very nice and taking lunch and playing on the soft sandy Yamuna bank. You can see how the lotus flower in the water are beautifully blown and how they distribute their fragrance all around. The crisping of birds along the cooling of the peacock, surrounded by the whispering of leaves in the trees. Combine the combined and present sounds vibration that ego one another, and this just enriches the beautiful scenery created by the trees here. Let us have our lunch in this spot because it is already late and we are feeling hungry. Let the cows remain near us and let them drink water from the Yamuna. While we engage in our lunch taking, the cows may engage in eating the soft grasses and or in the spot. On hearing this proposal from Krishna, all the boys become very glad and said, certainly let us all sit down and here to take our lunch, and then let loose the and then lose the calls to eat soft grass. Sitting down on the ground and keeping Krishna in the center, then they began to open their boxes brought from home. Lord Sri Krishna was seated in the center of the circle, and all the boys kept their faces towards him. They ate and constantly enjoyed seeing the Krishna's face to face. Krishna appeared to be the whorl of lotus flower, and the boys surrounding him appeared to be different petals. The boys collected flowers, leaves of flowers, and the bark of trees and placed their lunch on them, as well as their lunch boxes. And thus they began to eat their lunch, keeping company with Krishna. While taking lunch, each boy began to manifest different kind of relations with Krishna, and they enjoyed each other company with joking words. While Lord Krishna was thus enjoying lunch with his friends, his flute was pushed within the belt of his cloth of his right side, and his buckle and cane was pushed pushed in on the left side of the cloth. In this spot, in this left palm, he was holding a lump of food prepared with yogurt, butter, rice, and piece of fruit salad, which could seen through his pedal-like finger joints. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who accept the results of a great sacrifice, was laughing and joking, enjoying lunch with his friends in Vrindavana, and thus the scene was being observed by the demigods from heaven. As for the boys, they were simply enjoying the transcendental bliss in the company of Supreme Personality of Godhead. At that time, the calls
Hare
were...
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So we are also getting the answer of why they could not discuss the pastime of Aghasura until 1 year. Right? Because when this Brahma Vimohan Leela happened, it became 1 year. That was just a moment for Brahma, where he just told the calves, he went and saw, and after some time he came back and saw, he realized everything was done, in probably a couple of minutes. But in the earthly time frame, it was more than 1 hour. I mean, more than 1 year. That is why they could not go and tell those pastimes to their parents, because it was Krishna who had manifested as the calves and the gopas. So in this way, now Shukadeva Goswami is explaining how they discussed this pastime after 1 year, and yet they were so eager to discuss that pastime. Although 1 year had elapsed, their memory was fresh. They were unconscious during the entire time. It was earthly 1 year. They were actually in the cave of Brahma, and they were just continuously sleeping. But yet, when they came to life, right? Life is talking about Krishna. If you are not talking about Krishna, we are lying unconscious. We are almost in a dead state, right? That's why now the boys, when they were rescued by Krishna, or even Brahma begged forgiveness and actually brought the boys back, right? They didn't even remember that they were unconscious for so long, right? They started talking about Krishna's how he killed the Aghasura, how they were caught there, as if it happened just the previous day. But 1 year had elapsed. All right, let's see how the Brahma Vimohan Lila happens now. Krishna is having lunch with all of his cowherd boys, and all of them looking at Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom we offer boga with proper, ringing the bell 3 times, Prabhupada Pranam Mantra, then Namo Mahavadanyaya, Gauranga Mahaprabhu's mantra, and 3 times Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaicha. Right? All this is for Sadhaka Bhaktas. But for Vrindavan Vasis, the love is so spontaneous. They, they give and take from Krishna. From each of those lunch boxes, Krishna eats. Right? And Krishna is having curd rice and is, in between the hands and all, the fruit salad and the curd and the rice and all are sticking. Right? Krishna is just enacting pastimes like a normal boy. But yet, Brahma is himself gets bewildered. So what to speak of other demigods? Therefore, everybody is seeing from the heavenly planets. Okay, let's see what happens next. Okay, Sindhu Mataji, go ahead.
At that time, from there,
Yeah.
At that time, Hare Bol, Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At that time, the calves that were pasturing nearby entered into the deep forest, allured by new grasses, and gradually went out of sight. When the boys saw that the calves were not nearby, they became afraid for their safety and they immediately cried out, Krishna. Krishna is the killer of the fear personified. Everyone is afraid of fear personified, but fear personified is afraid of Krishna. By crying out the word Krishna, the boys at once transcended the fearful situation. Out of his great affection, Krishna did not want his friends to give up their pleasing lunch engagement and go searching for the calves. He therefore said, My dear friends, you need not interrupt your lunch. Go on enjoying. I am going personally to find the calves. Thus, Lord Krishna, still carrying the lump of yogurt and rice preparation in his left hand, immediately started to search out the calves in the caves and bushes. He searched in the mountain holes and in the forest, but nowhere could he find them. At the time when Aghasur was killed and the demigods were looking on the incident with great surprise, Brahma, who was born of the lotus flower growing out of the navel of Vishnu, also came to see. He was surprised how a little boy like Krishna could act so wonderfully. Although he was informed that the little coward boy was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to see more of the Lord's glorious pastimes, and thus he stole all the calves and coward boys and took them to a different place. Lord Krishna, therefore, in spite of searching for the calves, could not find them, and he even lost his boyfriends on the bank of Yamuna, where they had been taking their lunch. In the form of a coward boy, Lord Krishna was very little in comparison to Brahma, but because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he could immediately understand that all the calves and boys had been stolen by Brahma. Krishna thought, Brahma has taken away all the boys and the calves. How can I alone return to Vrindavana? The mothers will be aggrieved. Therefore, in order to satisfy the mothers of his friends, as well as to convince Brahma of the supremacy of the personality of Godhead, he immediately expanded himself as the coward boys and calves. In the Vedas, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has already expanded himself into so many living entities by his energy. Therefore, it was not very difficult for him to expand himself again into so many boys and calves. He expanded himself to become exactly like the boys, who were all of different features and facial and bodily constructions, and who were different in their clothing and ornaments and in their behavior and personal activities. In other words, although each boy, being an individual soul, had entirely different tastes, activities, and behavior, Krishna exactly expanded himself into all the different positions of the individual boys. He also became the calves, who were also of different colors, sizes, activities, etc. This was possible because everything is an expansion of Krishna's energy. In the Vishnu Purana, it is said, Parashya Brahmanaha Shaktihi. Whatever we actually see in the cosmic manifestation, be it matter or the activities of the living entities, is simply an expansion of the energies of the Lord, as heat and light are the different expansions of fire. Thus, expanding himself as a boys and calves in their individual capacities, and surrounded by such expansions of himself, Krishna entered the village of Vrindavana. The residents had no knowledge of what had happened. After entering the village of Vrindavana, all the calves entered their respective cowsheds and the boys went to their respective mothers and homes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. So now Krishna has expanded himself into each of the cowherd boys and into each of the calves. And although, like yogis, like we discussed the other day, yogis can expand themselves to maximum 8 forms, right? And all the forms will be doing the same work only. right? But here, Krishna is expanding himself into the unlimited number of cowherd boys and the calves, and also he could exactly understand the nature of each and every cowherd boy, and he used to behave for one full year, not just one time or once a day or for a couple of days. Entire 1 year he behaved with them, with his mother, with their mothers, as if he were their son only, the entire 1 year, because Krishna is present in the heart of all the living entities. He knows our desires, he knows what we are capable of doing. She was exactly behaving like the boy, so much so that the mothers also could not understand that this is not their son, but this is Krishna. Secondly, they were also wondering, why is it that I am loving my son so much more, right? Generally, when a small child is born, there is a lot of love that the mother showers. 100% the attention is on the child. But as the child grows up, the child becomes more and more independent, and then the mother leaves the child to do certain things, right? Maybe in the in the senior KG, too much time is there that the mother sits with the child, makes the child study, makes the child eat, walks with the child, this, that, everything. But when the child reaches, say, fourth, fifth standard, the child studies on her own, and they play on their own, etc. So much of time is not spent. But now these cowherd boys are big, they graze the calves. But the mothers, what they are feeling, the mothers and the fathers, even the elderly cowherd men, they were also feeling, why am I feeling so much of affection and love for these boys, right? In that way, when Krishna expanded himself into each of these cowherd boys, they became more and more attractive to their own parents. Similarly, the calves also became so much so much so attracted that the cows started giving profuse milk. Upon seeing the calves, they started running. Right now, Balaram will understand. Right, Balaram was not there at this particular time when Brahma did this. When Brahma got illusioned and he took the calves and stole the calves and the cowherd boys, because it was his birthday, like we mentioned, right? So Brahma later on, when he's seeing all this is happening, because in the earth it is 1 year is passing every day. All the cowherd boys are coming, and the calves are there. When they go back after the grazing, then the cows run. The cowherd, the cowherd ladies also run to their sons, and the cows run to their calves. In such great ecstasy, and milk is flowing out of their udder. And then Balaram is thinking something is wrong. Let me find out from Krishna what is happening. So let's see what's happening. Yeah. So the reason is that because they're overflowing love for Krishna, because Krishna has expanded themselves. Krishna has expanded himself into the calves as well as the cowherd boys. The mothers and the fathers and the cows are feeling so much of love for their calves and for their children that they did not actually experience earlier, right? Because the attraction for Krishna is natural for every living entity, especially for the Vrajavasis. All right, let's move ahead. Leelanandini Mataji, go ahead. The mothers of the boys.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam.
The mothers of the boys heard the vibration of their flutes before their entrance, and to receive them, they came out of their homes and embraced them. And out of material affection, milk was flowing from their breasts, and they allowed the boys to drink it. However, their offering was not exactly to their boys, but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had expanded himself into such boys. This was a chance for all the mothers of Vrindavana to feed the Supreme Personality of Godhead with their own milk. Therefore, not only did Lord Sri Krishna give Yashoda the chance to feed him, but this time he gave the chance to all the other elder gopis. All the boys dealt with their mothers as usual, and the mothers also, on the approach of evening, bathed their respective children, decorated them with tilaka and ornaments, and gave them necessary food after the day's labor. The cows also, who had been away in the pasturing ground, returned in the evening and called the respective calves. The calves immediately came to their mothers, and the mothers began to lick the bodies of the calves. This relations of the cows and the gopis with their calves and boys remained unchanged, although actually the original calves and boys were not there. Actually, the cows' affection for their calves and the elder gopis' affection for their boys causelessly increased. Their affection increased naturally, even though the calves and boys were not their offspring. Although the cows and elder gopis of Vrindavana had great affection for Krishna than for their own offspring, after this incident, their affection for their offspring increased unlimitedly, exactly as it did for Krishna. For 1 year continuously, Krishna himself expanded as the calves and cowherd boys and was present in this pasturing ground. As it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Krishna's expansion is situated in every one's heart as a super soul. But in this case, instead of expanding himself as a super soul, he expanded himself as a portion of cows and cowherd boys for one continuous year. One day, a few days before a one day, a few days before a year had passed, Krishna and Balrama were maintaining the cows in the forest when they saw some cows grazing on the top of Govardhana hill. The cows could see down in the valley where the calves were being taken care of by the boys. Suddenly, on sighting calves, the cows began to run toward them. They leaped downhill with joint front and rear legs. The cows were so melted with affection for the calves, and they did not care about the rough path from the top of Govardhana hill down to the pasturing ground. They approached the calves with the milk bags full of milk, and they raised their tails upwards. When they were coming down the hill, their milk bags were pouring milk on the ground out of intense maternal affection for the calves, although they were not their own calves. These cows and their own calves and the calves that were grazing beneath Govardhana hill were larger. They were not expected to drink milk directly from the milk bag, but were satisfied with the grass. Yet all the cows came immediately and began to lick their bodies, and the calves also began to suck milk from the milk bags. There appeared to be a great bond of affection between the cows and the calves. When the cows were running down from the top of Govardhana hill, the men who were taking care of them tried to stop them. Older cows are taken care of by men, and the calves are taken care of by the boys. And as far as possible, the calves are kept separate from the cows so that the calves do not drink milk, all the available milk. Therefore, the men who were taking care of the cows on the top of Govardhana hill tried to stop them, but they failed. Baffled by their failure, they were feeling ashamed and angry. They were very unhappy, but when they came down and saw their children taking care of calves, they all of a sudden became very affectionate towards their children. It was very astonishing. All the men came down disappointed, baffled, and angry. As soon as they saw their own children, their hearts melted with great affection. At once, their anger and dissatisfaction and unhappiness disappeared. They began to show paternal love for the children, and with great affection, they lifted them in their arms and embraced them. They began to smell their children's heads and enjoy their company with great happiness. After embracing their children, the men took the cows back to the top of the Govardhana hill. Along the way, they began to think of their children, and affectionate tears fell from their eyes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank
Bol.
you.
Hare Bol.
So, in this seeing all of this, what is happening? Generally, the cows are taken care of on the top, and the calves are being grazed down by the the young cowherds, and then the elderly cowherd men, they take care of the cows up. But what is happening? The cows are running down towards the calves, and the older cowherd men, they are feeling very disappointed. What is this? The cows are not listening to us. They're just running down the rough path to the pasture ground, and then the calves are also going, and then the cows are licking the calves, and they're getting angry. But at the same time, when they see their own children who's actually Krishna, who's expanded into the cowherd boys, then they also become greatly affectionate. Tears are flowing down from their eyes, etc. Now Balaram is thinking, dal mein kuch kala hai, right? This is never the happening. What is happening? Why is there so much of love and affection that is there between this grown up cowherd boys, right? They're grazing the calves. They're no longer the small toddlers, right? So much of love, and they're smelling the forehead of their boys and taking them away, etc. So Balaram thinks something is wrong here. Let me find out from Krishna what is happening here. Okay, so let's see what's happening. Leela Nandini Mataji read. Now Rajneesh Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
When Balram saw this extraordinary exchange of affection between the cows and the calves, and between the fathers and their children, when neither the calves nor the children needed so much care, he began to wonder why this extraordinary thing had happened. He was astonished to see all the regents of Vrindavan so affectionate to their own children exactly as they had been to Krishna. Similarly, the cows had gone affectionate to the calves as much as to Krishna. Balram, therefore, concluded that the extraordinary show of affection was something mystical, either performed by the demigods or by some powerful man. Otherwise, how could this wonderful change take place? He concluded that this mystical change must have been caused by Krishna, whom Balaram considered his worshipable personality of Godhead. He thought it was arranged by Krishna, and even I could not check its mystic power. Thus, Balram understood that all these boys and calves were only expansions of Krishna. Balram inquired from Krishna about the actual situation. He said, "My dear Krishna, in the beginning I thought that all these calves and cowherd boys were either great sages or saintly persons of demigods, but at present it appears that they are actually your expansion. They are all you. You yourself are playing as calves and boys. What is the mystery of this situation? Where have those other calves and boys gone? And why are you expanding yourself as calves and boys? Will you kindly tell me what is the cause?" At the request of Balaram, Krishna briefly explained the whole situation, how the calves and boys had been stolen by Brahma, and how Krishna was concealing the incident by expanding himself so people would not know that their original calves and boys were missing. While Krishna and Balaram were talking, Brahma returned after a moment's interval according to duration of his life. We have information of Lord Brahma's duration of life from Bhagavad Gita, 1000 times the duration of 4 ages, or 1000 into 432
That 3 lakhs 20,000 years.
4,32,000 years constitute Brahma's 12 hours. Similarly, one moment of Brahma's time is equal to 1 year of our solar calculation. After one moment of Brahma's calculation, Brahma came back to see the fun caused by his stealing the boys and calves, but he was so afraid that he was playing with fire. Krishna was his master, and he had played mischief for fun by taking away his calves and boys. He was really anxious, so he did not stay away very long. He came back after a moment. By his calculation, he saw that all the boys and calves were playing with Krishna in the same way as when he had come upon them, although he was confident that he had taken them and made them lie down asleep under the spell of his mystic power. Brahma began to think, all the boys and calves were taken away by me, and I know they are still sleeping. How is this? How is it that a similar batch of boys and calves is playing with Krishna? Is it that they are not influenced by mystic power? Have they been playing continuously for 1 year with Krishna? Brahma tried to understand who they were and how they were uninfluenced by his mystic power, but he could not ascertain it. In
In other
other
words,
words, he himself came under the spell of his own mystic power. The influence of his mystic power appeared like snow in darkness or glowworm in the daytime. During the night's darkness, the glowworm can show some glittering power, and the snow piled up on the top of a hill or on the ground can shine during the daytime. But at night, the snow has no silver glitter, nor does the glowworm have any illuminating power during the daytime. Similarly, when the small mystic power exhibited by Brahma was before the mystic power of Krishna, it was just like snow at night or glowworm during the day. When a man of small mystic power wants to show potency in the presence of greater mystic power, he diminishes his own influence, he does not increase it. Even such a great personality as Brahma, when he wanted to show his mystic power before Krishna, became ludicrous. Brahma was thus confused about his own mystic power.
Hare
In
Krishna.
order
Thank
to
you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
This is very wonderful, isn't it? They also say in our common material thing also, they say a fool is known until he opens his mouth, right? Until then we can pretend that we are very, very intelligent and all that. When we open our mouth and talk something, or when we do a particular action, then it really shows our caliber, right? So in this way, Brahma, he was very powerful. He is in charge of the secondary creation, and until the time he was serving the Lord, everything was fine, right? But the moment Brahma, it's actually a learning for us. Brahma is an eternal Parshada of the Lord who's entrusted with the sub-creation, right? But yet it is a very important lesson for us, that if Brahma could be bewildered and Brahma could be put under illusion by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what happens to small jivas like us, right? We are already struggling, to even practice our sadhana, right? And by Brahma, who's creating all of these universes, right? And universes in the sense, he actually assists the Lord, right? He actually brings together the earth, water, fire, and ether. The living force is produced by the Lord, but all the species are actually created by Brahma, right? With the various combinations of the earth, water, fire, and ether, etc. And then the Lord's glance by which the soul enters into the body, and then the life force occurs, right? So in this way, Brahma himself is put into so much of bewilderment, that why? Because Brahma was also trying to exhibit his power, right? That is why Prabhupada gives example of a glowworm. The glowworm in darkness, it glows very nicely. You can see that white sharp light from the glowworm. But in the daytime, you cannot see the sun's rays are so effulgent, you cannot even see a glowworm that's going around, right? Because the light is so insignificant. But when it is extreme the darkness, that time you can see it shine. So sometimes, we may shine, we think we are very, very intelligent or very smart in front of certain people, right? But when it comes to when it comes to the real parlance of understanding certain things, we will understand how foolish we are, right? We really think, oh, I am very intelligent, I know this, I know that, etc. But we are all like trying to show off, like the glowworm, which has no illuminating power during the daytime. Similarly, the snow which is there, snow is nice white, right? But it cannot be seen at all during the daytime again, right? Why? Because everything is covered by the sunshine, that the snow does not even exist, right? The snow also melts off like that, right? So there is no silver glitter that you can see, and nor can you see a glowworm, do its chamak during the daytime, right? Everyone has got powers given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when we try to unnecessarily show off, then the Lord will put us into place. The Lord will tell us where we stand, right? Either we are humble, or we will become humbled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Our position is a servant. And what is a servant's role? A servant's role is to humbly perform whatever a duty has been assigned to him by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when the servant tries to become the master and tries to control everything, then what happens? He becomes frustrated in his attempt to become the master, because it is not his constitutional position. His constitutional position is to serve. So unnecessarily, when he tries to show his powers, then he becomes humbled by the Lord. And in this case, we see even Brahma has been humbled by the Lord, wherein the Lord has created the replica of all the cowherd boys as well as all of the calves, exactly the same way. He's expanded to so many of them, and everything is happening as normal. Brahma is bewildered. He goes there and checks. He comes here and checks. All the where the boys are there, the calves are there. In this way, Brahma becomes bewildered. So Brahma became confused because he wanted to lord it over the material nature. He wanted to cause trouble to the Lord. He wanted to cause trouble to people by actually storing them in the cave, just because he had some kind of doubt, and he wanted to dispel that illusion. So he took panga with the Lord, right? He actually showed his prowess to the Lord, and the Lord told him, Punar Mushiko Bhava, right? The powers are given to us by the Lord, but when we misutilize those powers, then the Lord will say, become a rat again, right? The other day we were discussing how a rat was being chased with a cat. He went to a sadhu and said, I want to become a cat. And then there was a dog chasing the cat, and he wanted to become a dog. And then a tiger was chasing the dog, and then he wanted to become a tiger. And then the sadhu made him a tiger, and then he growls and he wants to eat the sadhu himself. And then the sadhu says, Punar Mushiko Bhava. I gave you, made you very powerful, but if you do not know how to utilize your powers properly for your self-defense, but rather you try to attack others, then what happens? The Lord withdraws all the powers and then we become rats. Then only we understand, oh my God, I was always a rat. It is only by Krishna's mercy that I was getting additional powers. But when we misuse it or we think that I am the possessor of all of these powers, then in no time, the Lord can make us Punar Moshiko Baba. The Lord can make us rats at any time. Right? So this is a very important lesson for all of us, that whatever powers, whatever intelligence, whatever resources, whatever skills, whatever talents the Lord has given us, you should understand it belongs to the Lord and it has been given to us with the purpose of utilizing that in the service of the Lord. If you utilize it in the service of the Lord, then we will have those talents with us to continuously serve the Lord, and in this way evolve ourselves also to become pure devotees. But if we don't utilize it in the right way and rather try to show people that I am powerful, I have this talent, I have these resources, in no time it will all be taken away, and then we will realize that, oh my God, I was just a tool in the hands of the Lord for satisfying the Lord's purpose. But when I showed ahankar, when my false ego came up, then I've been put into place. So it's better for us to always be humble, because that is our constitutional position. Otherwise, anyways, we will be humbled by Guru Gauranga, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right, let's move ahead. Deval Mataji, go ahead. In order to convince Brahma.
Yes. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
In order to convince Brahma that all those cows and boys were not the original ones, the cows and boys who were playing with Krishna transformed into Vishnu forms. Actually, the original ones were sleeping under the spell of Brahma's mystic power. But the present ones, seen by Brahma, were all immediate expansions of Krishna or Vishnu. Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna, so the Vishnu forms appeared before Brahma. All the Vishnu forms were of bluish color and dressed in yellow garments. All of them had 4 hands decorated with club discs, lotus flower, and conch shell. On their heads were glittering golden helmets inlaid with jewels. They were bedecked with pearls and earrings and garlanded with beautiful flowers. On their chests was the mark of Srivatsa. Their arms were decorated with armlets and other jewelry, and their necks were just like conch shells. Their legs were decorated with bells, their waist with golden belts, and their fingers with jeweled rings. Brahma also saw that upon the whole body of each Lord Vishnu, from the lotus feet up to the top of the head, fresh tulsi leaves and buds had been thrown. Another significant feature of the Vishnu forms was that all of them were looking transcendently beautiful. Their smiling resembled the moonshine, and their glancing resembled the early rising of the sun. Just by their glancing, they showed themselves to be the creators and maintainers of the modes of ignorance and passion. Vishnu represents the mode of goodness, Brahma the mode of passion, and Lord Shiva the mode of ignorance. Therefore, as the maintainer of everything in the cosmic manifestation, Vishnu is also the creator and maintainer of Brahma and Lord Shiva. After this manifestation of Lord Vishnu, Brahma saw that many other Brahmas and Shivas and demigods and even insignificant living entities down to the ants and very small straws, all moving and non-moving living entities, were dancing surrounding Lord Vishnu. Their dancing was accompanied by various kinds of music, and all of them were worshipping Lord Vishnu. Brahma realized that all those Vishnu forms were complete in mystic power, from the anima perfection of being small like an atom up to being infinite like the cosmic manifestation. All the mystic powers of Brahma, Shiva, all the demigods, and the 24 elements of cosmic manifestation were fully represented in the person of Vishnu. By the influence of Lord Vishnu, all subordinate mystic powers were engaged in his worship. He was being worshipped by time, space, and the cosmic manifestation, reformation, desire, activity, and the 3 qualities of material nature. Lord Vishnu, Brahma also realized. Lord Vishnu, Brahma also realized is the reservoir of all truth, knowledge, and bliss. He is the combination of 3 transcendental features, namely eternity, knowledge, and bliss, and he is the object of worship by the followers of the Upanishads. Brahma realized that all the different forms of boys and calves transformed into Vishnu forms were not transformed by a mysticism of the type of a yogi, of the type that a yogi or a demigod can display by specific powers invested in him. The calves and boys transformed into Vishnu Murtis or Vishnu forms were not displays of Vishnu Maya or Vishnu's energy, but were Vishnu himself. The respective qualifications of Vishnu and the Vishnu Maya are just like fire and heat. In the heat, there is the qualification of fire, namely warmth, and yet heat is not fire. The manifestation of the Vishnu forms of the boys and calves was not like the heat, but was rather the fire. They were all actually Vishnu. Factually, the qualification of Vishnu is full truth, full knowledge, and full bliss. Another example can be given with material objects which are reflected in many, many forms. For example, the sun is reflected in many water pots, but the reflections of the sun in the many pots are not actually the sun. There is no actual heat or light from the suns in the pots, although they appear like the sun. But the forms which Krishna assumed were each and every one full Vishnu. The specific word used in this connection is Satya Jnana Natan, sorry, Satya Jnana Nanda Nanda. Ananta Nanda. Ananta
Ananta
Nanda.
means unlimited.
Yeah,
Ananda means
unlimited. Bliss. Yeah. Satyam means truth, Jnana, full knowledge, Ananta, unlimited, and Ananda, full bliss. Should I continue, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
no. So I will ask
Thank you. Yeah.
this
Thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Moderate. So yeah, thank
Thank
you
you,
so much,
Bala.
Mataji. So this is very nice, right? Cause and effect is being described here. The sun is the cause of the heat, right? The sun is the same as fire, right? The fire causes the heat, right? And the heat is the effect. Similarly, Prabhupada gives example here of the sun. The sunshine is reflected on the water pots, right? Then the water pot also, when you touch it, it becomes hot. But the reflection of the sun is not the same as the sun itself, right? So the heat is there even in the water pot, and that's because of the sun's effect on the pot, right? So there's a cause and effect. So the boys, when they assumed the form of Krishna, they were like the sun itself, because all of them were Vishnu itself. It was not like the expansion or the effect of that Vishnu incarnation that was causing the boys to look so beautiful. No, each and every one of them had all the potencies of Lord Krishna, because Krishna himself personally expanded into each and every one of those boys. Satya, Jnana, Ananta, Ananda. Satya means truth, Jnana means full knowledge, Ananta, Ananda. Right? Whoever saw, in Brahma, when he saw this, that every cowherd boy is now showing himself as Lord Vishnu, he was bewildered, of course, but he saw that there was complete effulgence, because one Krishna himself has the effulgence of that can actually block your eyes, right? That's why in Isha Upanishad there is a verse, Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasyapitam Mukam Tattam Pushan Napavranu Satya Dharmaya Drishyate. Right? So they pray that, oh Lord, you remove this effulgence, right? Because of your effulgence, what is happening? I'm not able to see your lotus face. So please remove this effulgence so that I can have your darshan properly. So Brahma is bewildered by so much of light that's coming from each and every person who is the Vishnu. All right, let's move ahead. Srimati Mataji. So we have our Shri Priya Sampat Mataji got initiated from His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Shri Guru Maharaj day before yesterday, I believe. So Mataji is now Srimati Shama Priya Mataji ki Jai. Yes, Mataji, go ahead. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams. The glories of Supreme Personality of Godhead are so great that the impersonalistic followers of the Upanishads cannot reach the platform of knowledge to understand them. Especially the transcendental forms of the Lord are beyond the reach of the impersonalist, who can only understand through the studying the Upanishads that the absolute truth is not matter, nor is not materially restricted. In Krishna's expansion into Vishnu forms, Lord Brahma could understand by his limited potency that everything movable and immovable within the cosmic manifestation is existing due to the expansion of energy of the Supreme Lord. When Brahma was thus standing baffled in his limited power and conscious of his limited activities within the 11 senses, he could realize that he was also a creation of the material energy, just like a puppet. As a puppet has no independent power to dance, but dances according to the direction of the puppet master. So demigods and living entities are the subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it is stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the only master is Krishna and all others are his servants. The whole world is under the waves of the material spell, and beings are floating like straws in water. So the struggle for existence is continuing. But as soon as one becomes conscious that he is eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this Maya or illusionary struggle for existence is immediately stopped. Lord Brahma, who has full control over the goddess of learning and who is considered to be the best authority in Vedic knowledge, was thus perplexed, being unable to understand the extraordinary power manifested by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the mundane world, even a personality like Brahma is unable to understand the mystic power of Lord, Supreme Lord. Not only did Brahma fail to understand, but he was perplexed even to see the display which was being manifested by Krishna before him. Krishna took compassion upon Brahma because of his inability to see how Krishna was displaying the forms of Vishnu and transforming himself into calves and cowherd boys. And thus, while fully manifesting the Vishnu expansions, he suddenly pulled his curtain of Yogamaya over the sea. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not visible due to the curtain spread by Yogamaya. That which covers the reality is Mahamaya, or the external energy, which does not allow a conditioned soul to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead beyond the cosmic manifestation. But the energy which partially manifests the Supreme Personality of Godhead and partially does not allow to see is called Yogamaya. Brahma is not an ordinary conditioned soul. He is far, far superior to all the other demigods and yet could not comprehend the display of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Mataji, your voice is breaking. Therefore, Krishna willingly stops manifesting. Mataji, your voice is breaking. So I'll just finish this paragraph.
Further potence. The
Hare Krishna.
condition the condition
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mataji. All right. So here, Hare Krishna.
but
Okay, there is also lag of voice, I guess. Okay. I think some issue. All right. So we were seeing here how Brahma was put into too much of confusion and he could not see things as they are, right? Because Krishna was displaying the forms of Vishnu, and each of them were actually they're emanating so much of effulgence that it was getting continuously bewildered, right? And then even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavartaha. Na aham Prakasha Sarvasya. Naham Prakasha means I don't reveal myself as I am to those people who have this competing tendency or who have the tendency to be envious of the Lord. To such people, Krishna veils himself, or Krishna covers himself by way of his Yoga Maya, right? So we are not able to see the full potential of the Lord, right? The Lord does not display all of the potential because that will make the living entity even more envious of the Lord, isn't it? So the curtain of Yoga Maya is drawn so that the living entity is not further bewildered, right? He will just continue with this path, right? So in this way, Brahma also was put into so much of perplexity that Krishna did not show any more of his wonderful, beautiful form, right? And then he just for a moment, he came back to his original form, right? That he was not that he was displaying. Every person was a Vishnu. That was taken away, and all of them showed themselves as cowherd boys, and this relaxed Brahma for a minute, so that he could understand what is happening in front of his eyes, like that. Okay, now let's ask Karpagavalli Mataji. Go ahead. When Brahma was relieved from his.
Thank you, Mataji. And my audible, Mataji?
Yes, go ahead, Mataji.
When Brahma was released from his purpose, he appeared to awaken from an almost dead state, and he began to open his eyes with great difficulty. Thus, he could see the external cosmic manifestation with common eyes. He saw all around him the super excellent view of Vrindavana, filled with trees, which is the source of life for all living entities. He could appreciate the transcendental land of Vrindavana, where all the living entities are transcendental to ordinary nature. In the forest of Vrindavana, even ferocious animals like tigers live peacefully, along with the deer and human beings. He could understand that because of the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vrindavana is transcendental to all other places and is free of lust and greed. Brahma thus found Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing the part of a small cowherd boy. He saw that the little child with a lump of food with his left hand, searching out his friends and calves, just as he had actually been going 1 year before after the disappearance. Immediately, Brahma descended from his great swan carrier and fell down before the Lord, just like a golden stick. The word used among the Vaishnavas for offering respect is Dandavat. This word means falling down like a stick. One should offer respect to the superior Vaishnava by falling down straight with his body just like a stick. So Brahma fell down before the Lord just like a stick to offer respect there. And because the complexion of Brahma is golden, he appears to be like a golden stick lying down before the Lord Krishna. All the four helmets on the heads of Brahma touched the lotus feet of Krishna. Brahma, being very joyful, began to shed tears, and he washed the lotus feet of Krishna with his tears. Repeatedly, he fell and rose as he recalled the wonderful activities of the Lord. After repeating obeisances for a long time, Brahma stood up and smeared his hands over his eyes. Seeing the Lord before him, he tremblingly began to offer prayers with great respect, humility, and attention. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of 13th chapter of Krishna, the stealing of the boys and calves by Brahma. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So in this way, Brahma was put into illusion and the Lord himself took Brahma out of illusion also. Right? And then what does Brahma do? Right? Brahma starts singing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which we know as Brahma Samhita. Ishwaraha Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Venum Kwanantamaravinda Dalayataksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakotikamaneya Visesha Govindamadi Tamaham Bhajami, like that. Angani Yasya Sakalendri Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayauvanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabam Adurlabam Atmabhakto Govindamadi Tamaham Bhajami. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam. Right now, Brahma understands that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is calling him with all these names. Right? Advaita means not having any duality. He is the supreme one personality of Godhead. Right? There is no gods. As per the Vedic scriptures, there is only one God, Ekala Ishvara Krishna, or a Sabhabhritya. Everybody else is his servant. Advaita, Achyuta means one who never fails for his affection for his devotees. That's why in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, Ratam Stapayame Achyuta. Right? When Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna, that time also he did not fail in his duties because Arjuna was kicking him from behind. You have to go to the right side, on the right shoulder kick, on the left side, left shoulder kick. He's telling Krishna, take my chariot in between the armies. What is Krishna doing? Krishna is dutifully doing the role of a charioteer, although he is the supreme personality of Godhead. So he never fails in his affection for his devotees. And he always likes to serve his devotees. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim. He is the supreme personality of God. He does not have any source. Right? Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam. Right? He's got so many forms. Right? It depends on the various leelas that he performs. He's called Keshava, Madhava, Madhusudana, Vamana, Parashurama. Right? All of these are incarnations of the Lord. Right? Devaki Nandan, Yashomati Nandan. Right? Nandan, like this. So many names Krishna is God. And that Krishna is just one person who is the supreme personality of Godhead. And everybody else is the servant of that supreme personality of Godhead. And when Brahma realizes that, he falls down to the lotus feet of the Lord with his tears bathing the lotus feet of the Lord, right? And all his four crowns are there, making that sound, ting, that crown sound, right? And also here Prabhupada talks about Dandavat Pranam, right? Danda means Danda means stick, right? When we fall down like a stick in front of our senior devotees, that means what? We are giving up our ahankar, we are giving up the false ego. I know everything, right? This person is also chanting 16 rounds only. I am also chanting 16 rounds. What is the difference, right? That is Kanishta mentality. When we are comparing ourselves with our Shiksha Gurus, when we think that I am also as good as them because I am also chanting 16 rounds, then from that stage, our fall down will begin. When we don't respect our Shiksha Gurus, our Diksha Guru, and all our Vartama Pradarshika Guru who have enabled us to come into Krishna consciousness, then our downfall path begins from there. The more we are humble, the more we offer respect to others, the more we don't expect any kind of respect, the more we don't expect any kind of respect from others. For what do we need respect, right? What have we accomplished that we need respect from others? We are struggling so much with our own anarthas. When we understand, like as Radhanath Maharaj says, humility is honesty. When I understand my lowly position of how I am being attracted by all the objects of Maya, automatically I become humble. Automatically I become surrendered to the Lord. Oh Lord, I cannot fight over my anarthas on my own. I need your blessings on me. That way we surrender to the Vaishnavas. We surrender to Guru. We surrender to all our Shiksha Gurus. Right? In that way, humility means to understand that I am so insignificant. What is the reason? Why should I don't have any reason to become puffed up. right? So in this way, Brahma actually shows to us, right? Although Brahma is a very powerful personality who's been delegated so many powers by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when he did a mistake, he fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord, begged forgiveness, and in fact he wanted to be born as as a low person who could not have this kind of false ego, and in this way he became Haridas Thakur. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself, gave him the name of Nama Acharya, right? Because he was so humble, he could continuously chant the holy names of Krishna. The more we are humble, we will be able to chant Hare Krishna more and more and more. And that is the test of our humility. Not humility is not inferiority complex. Oh, I cannot do any seva. Oh, I am so fallen. Mataji, don't give me any seva. I am so fallen. I cannot do any seva. That is inferiority complex, right? I know my strengths and weaknesses. I perform any kind of seva that is given to me according to my strengths. If I am not good in something, I learn and perform that seva, because I am not performing that seva to get some name, fame, glory, right? I am not going to serve for the purpose of people to be appreciating me. That's not the purpose of the seva. The purpose of the seva is to please our gurus who's giving us that seva. And when gurus give a particular seva, they empower us to perform that seva, and that is how we are able to perform our services, right? So if we think that I am performing it because of my own ability to perform that seva, then we'll become rats, right? Punar mushiko bhava. So in this way, this Brahma's pastime, Brahma Vimohan Leela, is got the illusion caused even to Brahma by Lord Sri Krishna, is a very important lesson for all of us. How we need to be careful even when we are performing our devotional service, to not let false ego creep into our mind, because that will mark the fall down of our not only position, not only talent, not only resources, but time is going, right? We have such short lifespan. We don't have the time to make those mistakes by having all this false ego, etc. Every moment has to be utilized in serving the Lord in the mode of the servant of the servant of the servant, right? Because we want to go back home, back to Godhead. We want to develop all these qualities that will attract us to Lord Sri Krishna and make us dear to Lord Sri Krishna. So Brahma Vimohan Leela ki जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद श्रील गुरुदेव की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल. So with this we complete our 13th chapter of the Krishna book. Tomorrow we'll continue with the 14th chapter. What are the prayers offered by Brahma to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So let's quickly do Harinam Sankirtan. Devotees can switch on your cameras. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Vedisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Viyadvaita Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahi Mam Ram Raghava Ram Raghava Ram Raghava Rakshamam Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jai Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya, Subhadrama Jaya, Sudarshana, Jai Bala Gopal Jaya, Radha Krishna Jaya, Radha Shama Sundar, Jai Radha Madhav, Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Jaya, Krishna Balaram Jaya, Radhe Sham Jaya, Pancha Tattva, Jai Prahlad Singha Jaya, Radha Madhav, Jai Shri Radha Madhav, Jaya Shad Goswami, Jai Guru Parampara Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva Nitai, Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. कलियुग विद्वान हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद श्रील गुरुदेव की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा। सो हरजीत माता जी, कर्पकवली माता जी, शुभांगी केशवी माता जी, माधवी माता जी, श्रीधर प्रभु, सिंधु माता जी, रजनीश प्रभु, श्रीमती श्याम प्रिया देवी दासी माता जी की जय। ऑल अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल। वी लाइक टू congratulate her grace Srimati Shama Priya Devi Dasi Mataji for having got initiated from His Holiness Srila Jayapataka Swami Srila Guru Maharaj. We welcome Mataji and chant 3 times for Mataji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Rama
Hare Hare.
Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
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 Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Rama, Rama
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Congratulations, Mataji. Hare Krishna. This
Thank
is a
you,
very, very
Madhu. Thank you
wonderful,
so much.
wonderful milestone in our devotional service. Very, very wonderful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Congratulations,
Madhu.
Mataji.
Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Bol.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. And I'm so overwhelmed with so many messages from all the devotees. Thank you all for your prayers for me. Thank you all for your blessings. I seek your blessings all the time. Thank you all for your association. We're able to study all of this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna book, and all of the 16 books of Bhagavad Gita. 16 books of Prabhupada. I owe it to all of you. You're all, I get a message. If I'm late, also, I'm getting messages. Mataji, we are 10 people have logged in, 5 people have logged in. Are you joining in or not? So I need this kind of push. So I'm so grateful to all of you for pushing me this way. Please do continue to do so, so that we can complete all of the books of Srila Prabhupada in this way, for the pleasure of Guru Gauranga, for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. I thank you all so much, and sincerely thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for all your prayers and blessings, and hope, and we all continue this journey of studying Srila Prabhupada's books. We complete all of the books, and then we do a second revision also. Right? Prabhupada's books are meant to be studied over and over and over again. So let's do that. Let's all stay in this boat and study Prabhupada's books, and in this way, please, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudeva ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. So Madhvi Mataji, the best gift you can give me is to please join all the sessions. Right? There is no need to send any gift. I thank all the devotees. Every devotee is saying, give me your address. All blessings of Radha Madhav. I get photos of Radha Madhav, etc. I'm so overwhelmed by all of your prayers and blessings. So I'm so grateful to all of you. I don't have words to express my gratitude to all of you. Please do join us for these reading sessions. Please do join us for the morning chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because we encourage each other by your association. We are able to chant, right? So please do join us. Thank you very much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Srila Gurudev ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you all.